Dairy, yes or no? I mean, we have a lot of argument there that says that well, whites have been drinking dairy for a very long time, and so it's become part of our normal diet. When it comes to me personally, I do not consume dairy. I have the ability to break dairy down, so I don't have a problem when it comes to that. My objection is to the hormones that are in dairy. We have also the question of what cattle, milking cows are really being fed these days. What are they being injected with? Is there a possibility that these casein and whey hormones that, of course, are meant for calves, is there a possibility that these hormones would be just fine for us to consume and were fine in the past, but now are what science refers to as tolerated? And that's something that I would ask everyone to consider when you are thinking about what you should and should not eat, is that should you eat something that the body tolerates? I know you've read this before and you've seen it before where they say, well, the body will tolerate this or the body will tolerate it well. Is that really what you want to be consuming? Something that the body tolerates rather than something that the body utilizes and passes through us, giving us energy, giving us strength, and in no way undermining, in no way needing to be tolerated by. So you hear the same sort of verbiage from the scientific community, nutritional community, when they talk about things like, in companies, of course, selling different foods. And this is something that we all have become more cognizant about, looking at the ingredients on packages. And you see, well, there's this little ingredient that if in 10 times this sum will cause seizures. And so they know that you're able to consume the chemical in that form or that quantity, and you'll tolerate it, you'll be okay. But what exactly does that mean? That means that you are being harmed by the chemical. You are being harmed by these things that they're putting in the food. And of course, that is a whole conversation about laissez-faire capitalism and a morality that puts the profit and the value of a dollar above the value of our people. So we should not have a system, no matter what that system is in the future. We should have a system that puts the health and well-being of our people, particularly our children, ahead of profit, ahead of the mighty dollar, ahead of the 17th mansion that the owner of the company is able to purchase as a result of driving down the cost by putting a little bit more poison in your system. So this is coming from rolling this back to the question of dairy. Would dairy be fine in a world where cattle were not given drugs to produce more milk? Cattle were not given drugs to produce milk earlier. They were not given drugs to produce more milk. They were not given drugs to produce milk later in life. They were fed other things to make them prime milk producers. Would this milk derived from cattle and goats as well, etc., would this be safe for us? Perhaps it would be safe for us. I don't know. We have to deal with what's before us, what our reality is. In all ways, we have to deal with our reality as it is. And the reality as it is that the milk that we are fed today is milk that a lobbying group for the dairy farmers came together, and you can do the research on this, you can do the history, and they all came together and lobbied the government of the United States to include milk in the food pyramid, in the recommendations of what people should consume. Since that time, and who knows how healthy the cows were around that time, perhaps they were much healthier. Perhaps what they've done to them has been in recent time. But nonetheless, we see now that there is a lot of science coming out demonstrating that dairy is pernicious for the human animal. And so I cut out dairy years ago, and I can give you, and of course, this is all going to be anecdotal today, and it will be the same from you all. So thank you all for participating. I'm seeing a lot of people speak to this issue right now. And that is that when I gave up dairy, a lot of things changed about me in a positive way, health-wise. Skin got better, headaches got better, fewer to none. A lot of things changed. And as I say, and this is very important, because whenever anybody talks about dairy, they think that we're talking about lactose. and lactose tolerance versus lactose intolerance. This is not about the sugar in dairy. That's what the lactose is. This is about the hormones in dairy, the hormones casein and the hormones whey. There are other hormones, but those are the two primary hormones. Those hormones are meant to drive calves from those little sickly little creatures, these little stick-legged creatures, into massive behemoths that weigh as much as your Subaru. Those hormones in the human body are, and perhaps altered, genetically altered by the things that the cows are now given, are being identified by our immune systems as alien. And so we have many of these problematic. Some people, it becomes very problematic for them, and they become very ill as a result. And we see the immune system attacking people's bodies in a vigorous way. There are numerous types of blood tests. And I think, Jared, what we need to do for the future is, Jared and I have talked about doing shows, not just a theme for TAP, but shows specifically titled Health and Wellness. And I think when we do those shows in the future, what we have to do is we can bring some of this documentation. We can show some of this literature where it demonstrates the actual blood tests you all can go and get. You can ask your doctors for these blood tests. They will provide you with them. And you can see to what degree your body is identifying these agents in your system as alien and needing to be destroyed. The more of those agents that are in your body that the body identifies as needing to be destroyed, the more you will have these problems of the immune system attacking your own body. And the reason why is because the body, the immune system, can tell the difference between these different hormones, these different proteins in your blood, but not perfectly. So if they resemble close enough other proteins in your system, your own immune system will attack you. And that, of course, is called autoimmunity. So you end up with autoimmunity by way of your immune system identifying these hormones in the milk that is then passed into, these proteins that are then passed into your system, and then misidentifying your healthy tissue for these same invaders, and then attacking the healthy tissue. Now, here's the thing that I haven't read about before, and I haven't seen anywhere before, but it is a suspicion of mine, and that is that your body uses, of course, these proteins to build its tissues. Are these tissues built out of these proteins also identified as invaders? So if you build a house out of bricks, and those bricks come from a particular quarry, is the house not then a manifestation of the quarry? Of course it is. So can we say then that the same holds true for the human body? I can't say for sure. If there are any physicians in the audience, please jump in and let us know, or any scientists who study this sort of thing. Perhaps this is an issue that we can get to in the future and discuss this, because this is very important. If the tissues, just think about this, folks, if the tissues that compose your eyeballs, the multifarious tissues that compose your eyeballs, if some or many or most of those are composed of proteins that the body has identified as invaders, will the body not then attack your vision, your very eyes, and blind you? Something to be explored. If it has not already, please tell me if there have been studies. I haven't seen them before. I can't study everything. So that is something that we need to discuss. But for me personally, I gave up dairy a few years ago. So that means no milk, no butter. At first it sounds horrible, but trust me, it's not. No ice cream. But increasingly, there are products being made out of almonds, out of coconut, that are not just tantamount in the quality of taste, but superior to the quality of taste, and they are healthier for you. They're better for you. Not only are they better for you in that they don't have these now, what perhaps we can call them like tainted hormones or tainted protein, but they are healthier in the sense of your caloric intake and the like, and the fats that are natural that the body is able to use. There are many different, and we can't, Jared, we just have to also be careful on the stream. We can't say that we have remedies for anything, because as you know, there's a very powerful lobbying group in the country that will shut the show down right away if we say we have remedies for anything. We're not saying that. We're not claiming to be doctors. We are giving you our personal anecdote, just anecdotal evidence and personal things that we have read about here today. So yeah, keep the and we have some super chats. I'll assemble the super chats while Jared shares his thoughts with you on this. But as for me, I'm completely removed all dairy, and I can honestly tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that my health improved. This is, as you know, folks, I am not a hyperbolic person. I'm not histrionic. I'm not going to say something just because it's wild. I'm a really, I guess, level-headed thinker. And so when I say that there was a noticeable change, it's not because I'm selling almond milk or something like this, or because I'm the kind of person who's given to trying to say wild things because it entertains myself somehow. No, it's because there was a noticeable change. And if you do the experiment yourself, remove milk in all of its forms from your diet, do it just for a week, and I think you'll be amazed. Things like sinus issues that people have, tonsil issues, glandular issues all around your throat, your neck, your armpits, your chest, things like a runny nose, postnasal drip, things like watering eyes, itchy eyes. A lot of things disappear for people. And not only that, but what is really important for us is clarity of thought. A lot of these pollutants in the body can cloud your thought. And if your thoughts are clouded, you're not going to be able to properly serve white well-being. So we need to be a healthy bunch of people. And that is one of the reasons why Jared and I are so very happy to talk with you all today about health, wellness, and relationships. So I'll pass it over to Jared.